Hey, how's it going? We made it to yet another Wednesday. We are here for part 6 of painting the portrait in India ink of the beautiful Latina, Shanoa. That's pretty exciting. So we are getting towards the end of this painting, which, is a bittersweet thing. You get used to working on something and you see it develop and you get to that point where you start liking what you're seeing. So this is the artwork so far. So, and then you get to the point where it's almost over and you got to start something all over again and create a new challenge. Take it to that next level. So, I'm going to go ahead. What's up, Tone? Good to see you. So, it looks like the chat window is fixed for the most part because I don't have to go ahead and reauthorize every time. So, that's great to see. So I see you doing some great work over there. So that's great, Tone, with that wonderful African American woman you're painting. She is looking fantastic. Willie, how's it going? And Wendy, thank you so much for coming by tonight. It's great to see you guys. As you see, I was doing a lot of digital work today. So this is the Huion pen that goes with the tablet. So have any of you guys been doing any digital art in the year 2020? That's sort of one of my goals, is to be much more proficient in that. So, okay, so remember when we always start, part 6, part 1, part 3, in the very beginning when you're going back into a new artwork, you always want to start out with what mixture? Always the light mixture. Very important, because the light mixture is sort of re-wetting the surface, getting used to it. So not Willie yet. Tone says he tried to find that paper and they said they stopped making it. Are you talking about Color Line by De La Rowney? Because they just started making that. And you can find that at a Hobby Lobby. And I think whoever told you, now I got to make sure that we're talking about the same paper. Yeah, the person who said that wasn't very knowledgeable, because that is something they just rolled out, I would say about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more. And so definitely that person who told you that, I'm not going to say anything about it. I just think maybe they got their signals crossed or something like that. A lot of those times, those guys working in art stores, they're not exactly the most knowledgeable about art supplies, unfortunately. I'm not criticizing them. It's a hard job. Oh, so you were looking for Canson. Oh, yeah, no. Actually, Colorline is made by Canson, which replaced the De La Rowney Canford cardstock. So, yeah, so that's basically it. So if you can find that, if not, they can order it for you. It's actually on the Blick website. So anything's on the Blick website, the store could order it for you, or you can just order it from blick.com. And they send it in really good shape, which is really fantastic. So right now we are sort of in the finishing, kind of polishing stages of this particular painting. We spent a lot of time on her blouse, and we'll spend a little time on that, but mainly I just want to start bringing this together. And one of the ways of bringing this together is I'm going to use a darker reference, and I want to get a little more. Hey, Brad, good to see you. How's it going, my friend? So glad you can make it. So I want to get a little more. Mike, how's it going? Happy New Year. All right. I've missed you, Mike, for a couple of weeks. I'm glad you're back. So what I want to do is I want to turn that forehead. I don't want it to be just this voided area. Now, if you look at this reference, there's really not much tonal variation. But I do have a reference here in my Pure Ref program, which I highly recommend, Pure Ref. And in there, you'll see we have some color variation. So tonal variation, I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start you know, with the light mixture here. I would say I'm about 3 inches away. And I'm just going to start trying to make it turn away from the light on this side. Okay, so, but paying attention to what I'm painting, so important. And we can do some little straggly hairs here along the scalp area. Just little hairs here and there, nothing too out of the ordinary. Mike says you had a weird idea that would be off for the 2 holidays. I was wrong. Yes, art must always, the show must always go on, Mike. As long as I can, I will continue having it. And so basically what we're doing is just really trying to make her forehead turn in space, in this three-dimensional space. If we don't do that, it would look too flat and wouldn't support her actually coming forward and really feeling like you can touch her. So right here, I think I got a little overzealous with this shape, so I'm gonna use my mono eraser and I'm just going to try and shape her lower eyelid a little better. Now, one of the things I can do is once I shape it like so, I can actually come in with the white pastel quickly. Got the white pastel pencil over here. Now, we're not doing the real soft one that we were doing last week, if you recall. We're not going to go that soft. And we're just going to try and better shape her lower eyelid there. So, you know, even on these late stages, you'll make some slight corrections here and there. You won't make huge corrections because you pretty much have to live with anything that you have at this point. But you'll have some slight corrections that you can go ahead and, you know, just fix that you catch, you know, such as, you know, I had to get a little better with the shape of her lower eyelid there. Then a little bit of light just comes in there. See, just like that. And I think that actually gives a little more expression to her eyelid there, which I love because it really feels like she's, like her eye is sort of coming towards us. And that's what I want. So I want to increase, this is what I want to do. Now's the time where we're really going to direct the eye, right? So I want to increase a lot of the, and we do that in every painting. Okay, Wendy, no problem. Wendy said she'll be right back. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Good to see you. So glad you can make it, my friend. So what we're going to do now, and what we're doing, is we're just looking for contrast, or where we want contrast. So where I want contrast is with her eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of these little cups here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get some dark mixture. We're going to use a liner brush. And I always recommend, you know, liner brushes, using anything that's going to, you know, help your art, help your painting. So I would say probably an 80-20 rule, you know, maybe about 20% won't be pure airbrushes, and yeah, and then 80% airbrush, 20% other tools. So that 80-20 rule is pretty universal. And so as you see right now, I'm going to really pump up the contrast here. I want her eye to really pierce us. Like, I want her to, when she's doing that little thing with her eyes, that she's actually looking at us. And I want us to feel that, you know? I want it to be powerful. I don't want it to just be, you know, I want her eyes to really look at us, look at the viewer. So I'm going to intensify this. Like, this is where Tim is not a photorealist, okay? I do not care about being true to a photograph. That is not in my realm of concern, you know, when it comes to, you know, whether or not I want to get an expression. The photo is only a tool. That's all it is. So as you see, just those little things, I'm pulling that eye way forward. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to get this Fons and Porter fabric pen, and what I'm going to do is intensify this light there. There we go. So as you can see, it's a lot more forceful than what we had before, and I think that's important. Sort of a glow here on this side. I want to get this glow, so I'm just going to do light dagger strokes with this. You know, for you airbrush people, a dagger stroke is just sort of flicking it and having it fade as you go. Same thing, so really just getting a feeling of luminous qualities of light near her eye. But the more detail you put near her eyes, the more your eye is going to look where I want you to look, which is where I put more detail. Is mixing acrylic airbrush paint colors the same as mixing acrylic paints from the tube? No. Good question. Different properties. Definitely do different things. Mixing from the tube, the way that the colors react to each other is a lot different than if you were to use them as airbrush paints. The way you mix them, you'll still get the same values and everything, but how it reacts as atomized paint is going to be totally different than how you brush it, if that makes sense. But a lot of times what I have done is I used paint out of the tube, use them with a airbrush medium, and actually put them through an airbrush, and that's the same. But how a paint is going to react through the airbrush is totally different than when you put it on a paintbrush. It's going to be a lot different. So be wary of that. Wary of that, I think. Wary? I'm not sure. Okay, so you see, now also I'm going to, there's a little speck of light right there. There we go. And I really like the way that's looking. Same thing over here. I'm going to make this light area a little more powerful than normal because I want your eye to be drawn to this other eye as well. And those are just decisions I'm making today. I'm going to intensify the light as it is hitting her Cupid's bow here, or fulcrum. See that? And what we're doing is we're just making her a little more three-dimensional, a little more believable in space, in this three-dimensional space that we see her in. And let us also see, gouache is the same way. Gouache is basically watercolor that's just totally opaque, but it does have some different qualities. There, what is it? Jacob from this group, he uses gouache in the airbrush, and he says it's fine. But gouache is generally very thick, especially the lighter colors with more white in them. But good question. Very good question. And so as you see, oh man, Ron, I'm glad you're feeling better. That's horrible. So I'm so sorry you had the flu, my friend. So as you see also, I want to intensify other areas of color here, other areas of tone. So right here, we're just going to pull up some lights. Okay, so let's go back to our airbrush and let's shape some of these eyelashes here. Still with the light mixture, but even with the light mixture, as long as I don't overdo it, overwet it, I can eventually build up a dark. But right now I'm just basically sketching it in with the light mixture. Let's do what other live streams can't do. There you go. And we are going to go right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our eyelashes here. Little dagger strokes, you see that? Mike says, okay, color mixing part is what I was wondering. I was watching some of YouTube videos on mixing colors and wondered. Yes, definitely. Things are definitely different when mixing for the airbrush. So what you get, what you see when you mix it, and what it is when you spray it are going to be different. Just intensifying some areas here. Look at that beautiful line that you can get with this airbrush. So, you know, highly recommend it. The Extreme Patriot Arrow with the modified trigger is probably the best airbrush on the market in my opinion right now. Why I say that is the proof's in the pudding, you know? And so let's continue moving around here. Okay, so let's see if we can start getting some of those fingernails to look a little more hard-edged. I think it would be a good idea to try and begin with those hard edges a little bit. But as you can see, it's always perpendicular and not parallel. Let me see if I have one of those smaller, those little baby, I have some real teeny tiny little freehand shields that I think are perfect for something like that. Of course, I'm tripping over them during the week, and when I'm looking for it now, it's invariably hard to find. Here we go. So we got two of them. See these cute little guys? So this would probably be really good to use. So let's see. So remember, it's always perpendicular and not parallel. There you go. So just making them a little more hard-edged, more better definition of shape here. you go. It's just cleaning things up. So that's what you really are doing in the later stages of a painting. In my airbrush technique is basically, I think anyone's technique, I hope, you know, you're pretty much cleaning things up as you go. And what I'm doing now is just sketching with the airbrush. And then also, let's make sure that we have this far fingernail here. There we go. Now we can go ahead and reiterate some of these harder edges in the fingernails. Let's do that together. Perpendicular, not parallel. So as you can see here, I'm a pretty good distance away. But it's really important that we get a sense of the hard edges that are in the reference, because they help with the illusion. And I like the contrast of those hard edges of those nails as opposed to the softer edges that are in her face and hair. Here we go. And let's see if we have a little better ones over here. So I'm probably about 2 inches away as I'm spraying this tight detail here. Let's do the outer edge here. There we go. So as you can see, it's very important to go ahead and make sure that you are worrying about edges, not just in the face and the eyes, you know, the hair, that sort of thing, but worry about edges elsewhere, which is very important. So you see we are really starting to, oh, thank you, Wendy, I appreciate that. And then Ron says, does that Patriot arrow come with that big Mac wheel under the gun? You mean this? Yes, it does not. Well, this right here, it does. The pack valve, precision air control valve, that does come with the Extreme Patriot arrow, which is great. It normally comes with a huge trigger. Get rid of that and then, you know, just replace it with a $4 trigger, or any Badger trigger will fit it, which is great, and that'll give you intense control. So definitely what you want to look for. So what we're going to do is continue to work on edges by going back and forth with the airbrush as well as the white pastel right now, and those little paper stumps. So we will be giving away a 1-year subscription to Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine, and what you have to do is you need to go ahead and in the next 2 of the videos, you have to make a comment in the video section after the video's over and say, I want a subscription to Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine, and you have to like and subscribe. So that's very important. So if you don't like and subscribe, you won't be in the drawing. And that will be in 2 weeks. We'll announce the winner. And this is a gift from our friends at Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine, international step-by-step instruction every 2 months on how to paint the airbrush in a lot of different ways from the top artists all around the world, so that's exciting. Wendy says, will the 105 that I ordered from Ken, will that come with a pack valve? Yes, I believe so. You ordered, which one did you order? I'm not sure. We'll double check, okay? So I'm not sure. I think you ordered the Extreme Patriot Arrow, am I correct? Yes, that does. I'm almost certain that that's what you ordered, Wendy. But we'll double check on that. Okay, so yes, that comes with the pack valve, which is really great. You're gonna love it in conjunction with a MAC valve. You know, on the bottom, you're gonna have incredible micro adjustment capability. So you're really gonna be happy. Yes, the Extreme Patriot, exactly. Oh, you got the larger cup. That's right. So not the Arrow, but one the larger cup. Now, yes, you ordered the Extreme Patriot Arrow, and yes, so you ordered the Arrow with the smaller cup. The 105 Arrow, Extreme Patriot 105, is a larger cup. Yes, the Arrow is the smaller cup, like the one you see here. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, there we go. That's the smaller cup. So we're still moving around. So what I want to do is continue working on, I went and worked on the dark edges. Now let's work on the light edge just adjacent to the edges of those fingernails. And that, you know, what's next to a value is going to be just as important as to how accentuated that value will be. The contrast around it, of course. So right now it looks like, you know, we are probably going to finish this next week. I don't want to rush it, so I'm just going to go a little slower. But definitely is something that we'll take our time. You never want to rush finishing a painting. And that's like a kind of a caveat, right? To rush finishing it. I see it so many times. And, you know, so many times I have a tendency, you know, and it's just important to slow it down and, you know, take your time and really work on those finer details that only you can do at the end. So there's really no rush in finishing it. Just take your time always and breathe and just have fun and enjoy the process of polishing up your hard work. So I highly recommend the ink mixtures if you guys haven't tried it. My ink mixtures are now in several countries in Europe. I think England and Germany and France, Austria, Australia, they are in different continent, Canada. So the UK, so it's really, really exciting that the India inks are taking off, my Airbrush India inks. And the reason is because you don't have to mix your inks. You basically don't have to worry. And so I'm always developing and fixing, making them even better. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm always fixing to make better flow, even better flow than now. Sort of research and development. What can I do to make it even better than now? And right now, it's fantastic. So with this technique, it'll bring your airbrushes to life. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing it, is because I wanted my airbrush to work like a pencil. I wanted to have that control, and those ink mixtures give me that control. So if anyone is interested in them, just let me know, and I'd be more than happy to, tell you about them and everything. So right there on the, so this is what my ink mixtures look like over here. And then let's see, and then also let me see if I can get that that address for you. Okay, nonetheless, I'll get that for you. So the link is in the description field until I get it up here, so no problem. So the ink mixtures definitely allows me to have the freedom to have the airbrush work the way I want it. Of course, along with my favorite airbrush in the world, the Extreme Patriot Arrow. This technique is really going to just bring your airbrush to life. Now we have something interesting and fun to do. They're not just fingernails, right? But they are areas that are affected by the light as everywhere else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some variation of tone with the mono eraser here. Because we are being affected by the same light that's hitting her nose and the sparkles in her eyes. So we definitely have to express that. See different ways we can do that here. Go. So we really want to feel that light just moving all across her, even in the hair and even in this fingernail on her index finger. Everything is being affected, you know. Oh, so Wendy says the Extreme Patriot 105, don't think he offered the Extreme Patriot Arrow. I see. Okay. And Brad says he started classes with me on Monday, and pretty much everything he has, Ink, Extreme Patriot Arrow, color line instruction. Thank you, Brad. You're a great student. So that's very exciting. So yes, the classes, are very exciting, and it's just going in a deeper way. So that you can also find on my website, information on paintedglyphs.com. And there's a link for my airbrush mixtures, my airbrush into your inks, as well as information on my one-on-one workshops, which we do on Skype. So you can be anywhere in the world and still study with me one-on-one, which is, technology is unbelievable, really is. So right now I'm softening edges where I need to soften. So on this side of her nose, it's very soft, and as you see, I did a few specular highlights on her fingernails. So just making sure everything looks three-dimensional. And with this white, I'm also going to further shape those fingernails. Paying attention to the reference, of course. You don't want to go off on your own and start doing too many liberties with what you see. You want to stay relatively, you always want to stay true to what you're seeing. And if you're making any changes, it has to be a very good reason. Not because you didn't pay attention or I didn't pay attention. That's not good enough a reason. So as you see, I'm intensifying the light as it's hitting her knuckles there. And so this is where I would intensify some light here and there. Now you can even go ahead and use this particular tool, which is the Fons and Porter, and you could just go ahead and put in some nice value there. So that's pretty cool. So let's go back to our light mixture, and we're going to go back to trying to, let me raise the air pressure a little bit, trying to make everything a little more three-dimensional here. So we're going to just do that soft light as it fades out over here, just making things a lot softer, a lot more delicate, a lot more akin to what we're painting, which is a young lady. So soft edges, you know, where they are soft, you definitely want to make sure that you're not making them hard. You'll make the painting harsh. So keep in mind of those things. Right here, we have this soft shadow tone right there, but right in there, there is a little bit of a dark section, a dark shape. Kind of looks like a banana. Little dark shape inside that larger shape, and that's important. So I went ahead and did that, and let's go ahead and worry about the shape here. Now this is the main focus, this eye, so we want to be a little more worried about getting things correct in this eye here. So this is like really tight detail, so let's go ahead and blow this up, which you don't see in other live streams. And so what you're going to do is we are going to just hit this sort of light that's hitting the edge of her eyelid there. Then right here, we have these teeniest tiny little eyelashes. But they're not eyelashes that you would think. They're just darker shapes. So I'm just going to do some weird little dagger strokes. Little variations here. See that? I want to make sure that we feel that this eye is coming out of the darkness there. That's very important to me. Now over here, I want to accentuate how it's dark over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a good distance away, and I'm going to really soften up this area right there. Oh, Tone says that's the problem of the eye. That's the part of the eye that gives you trouble. It's a tough part, right? And you know, we just have to stick with it, you know. And a lot of times, you know, I'll try and do it, but a good part of me wants to avoid it, right? Because it is a tough area. So I really want to get her expression. It's so important to me in this painting, and it's sort of like what drew me to paint her in the very beginning. So right now we're getting to the end. You have to remember why you wanted to paint your subject in the very first place, and so sort of have that objective. You know what I mean, guys? Wendy says, I lost a package that I ordered for the Extreme Patriot. Oh, okay. You mean you had a package? Now here, it's a little darker. So I'm going to actually dial that down a little bit. You see that? And then look at the detail I can get. I mean, that's almost better than I can get with a pencil, which is really cool. Oh yeah, the confirmation email, Wendy. Brad is right. That's true. It does make a difference, Tone, if you get that sort of you know, those little details in the lower eyelid, that little lid there, that little windowsill almost shelf thing there, you know, makes a big difference. So I hear you, and that's something that I always strive for. And it is tough. That's one of the toughest parts of a portrait. Oh, so you did receive it. Okay, so you did receive it. Okay, so uh, you should have gotten the needle, right? We ordered the needle and also, um, but we'll look into that together. So now, as you can see, I'm just getting that corner of her eye there. That, I don't know what that's called. I know there's an anatomical term for that. But as you see how we're really making that eye feel like it's, that eyeball is going inside her head. And that's what the feeling I want. I want to accentuate that. Because right now, as it's blown up, it kind of looks a little crazy. But when we pull back, it's going to have a little more, I don't know, a little more clarity. It's going to look very, very authentic. So let's go ahead and just pull back here. So that I like, and then I can also just darken that up just a little bit. Brings the air. Sometimes the chucking nut does get loose and you want to double check that. And some little things like that will cause it to feel a little bit weird. It's just all my experience, you know. I can feel the slightest variation when I pull back. So that's something to think about when you're working. Whoop. So right here you see I have this white tape. This is actually plumber's tape, it's called. And so you want to make sure if you have it as stringing out like that, just to put it in, because you peel it out. That keeps the air from leaking when you put the Mac valve or any joints together. That stuff will really come in handy. So I'm sure you guys know about that. You can get that stuff anywhere, at a Home Depot, Lowe's, no problem. Oh, Brad says that Extreme Patriot Arrows will never see paint, only ink. That's actually very good. These are perfect for ink, so definitely agree with that. I mean, they're great with paint, but they're also, I think they're perfect for ink. All right, so we're moving around. So whatever we did in one eye, we got to make sure that we do in the other eye. So I have this eye over here, and what I'm going to do is let's darken this a little bit. Yeah, so we gotta definitely darken this eye here. The eye in the shadow can't be lighter, I mean, can't be, uh, has to be darker than the eye that's in the light. So, because it's getting less light. Little dagger strokes. Go. So let's use our freehand shield, and we're going to go ahead and work on the edges. We don't want to contaminate the hand, right? So we're going to use our freehand shield to sort of darken and maintain a nice edge there. We're still with the light mixture. We haven't gone. Now, you'll see here that you can actually see where I used the Frisket film and the razor blade, but that will only show up when it's blown up. It definitely won't show up with the naked eye. So don't be concerned if you use Frisket film. Just gotta stick with the recipe. Perpendicular and not parallel. So, and that's what we're going to do all the way down. And let's actually move down. To her chin area where her mouth is. And this freehand shield, make sure you clean that. And as we move down, you notice I am still with the perpendicular and not parallel principle. And everyone who studied with me knows about my 1 second rule, which is if you look for a second, you paint for a second. If you look at your reference for 2 seconds, you paint for 2 seconds. So you only paint for as long as you look. We really squint our eyes and see what that value is at this stage, because at this stage we're really going for the final values. So, oh, you found it. Perfect. Okay, that's great to hear. So as you see, when we're doing this, we're gaining clarity. We are actually almost like things are becoming sharper because we are actually working on the final values of the way things are. Now right here, this is a very soft edge, so I'm just going to be a couple of inches away, and I'm just going to, lightly spray until I get the desired value. And this is extremely soft, so everything is very soft here. But there are variations of tone or value that you definitely want to make sure that you are hitting. Right here, it's a little bit darker. So as you can see, everything is starting to come together little by little. I'm going to accentuate the forehead on this side because I really want to feel the turning of this form here. So I'm just going to extend and darken this side of her forehead. That's a decision that I'm making that I think is a good one because it's going to make a better painting. Wendy says she looks better than the picture. I appreciate that, Wendy. Thank you so much for that. There we go. We really want to get that expression. We really want to feel, or at least try and imagine what she's thinking. Not just a portrait, right? We want expression. We want to get to know this person. When I paint someone, that's what I want to do. That's my goal as a portrait painter. And also, you know, express what made me want to paint the portrait in the very beginning. Okay, so let's look at that hairline again of hers. And I can see that the hairline is darker here. We have a lot of little wispy hairs, but let's go from a good distance away. Whoop, not that angle, this one. A good distance away, as you see. We raise that air pressure. And I'm just going to darken that up. Reference. Here's the painting. At this stage, you want to really feel like, okay, they're pretty close. Not the same, but pretty close at this stage. So that's what we're looking, that's our goal. So what I'm going to start working on the outer edges of her hair. That's probably a good way to go. And I might do that with the liner brush or with this airbrush. So let's go back to the other camera angle. Brad says she's looking outstanding. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So that makes me feel good. Brad, thank you so much. So I'm going to empty out the light. Remember, when you're going from a darker mixture, from medium from the light, or from dark from the medium, you don't have to clean out the cup. You just spray it out because the light is not going to affect the darker value. But if, let's say, you have a dark value and then you want to go to the light, then you got to clean that cup out because the dark is going to contaminate that light very much. So let's go ahead and get some of this medium mixture in my brush. And look how fast, you know, there's no mixing involved. You don't got to worry. You don't have to test. All these have been calibrated and tested by myself. So that's why these ink mixtures makes your painting sessions fun and worry-free. Okay, so now what we're going to be working on are those outer hairs. And I'm going to try and do it with the airbrush first, and if unsuccessful, we'll use a liner brush. Thanks, Tone. I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying that the painting looks good. I really appreciate that, guys. Very encouraging. So when doing these wispy hairs, you want to be pretty quick, you know? You don't want to, you know, be real slow. You want to have a quickness to it. And what you can do is pretend you're doing a shape and then you stop just before you finish it. You sort of pull up, and then what happens is you sort of get that sort of lost and found hair look, you know, because hair is really lost and found. So that's the thing. Mike says, if I didn't keep thinking of ice cream, I wouldn't have left the paint to dry in my arrow. Oh my goodness, for a week. Oh no. Yeah, that must have been difficult to clean, right? These things. So as you can see, we're going to have to come in, but I'm going to just shape some of the wispiness. Then I'm going to come back in with the liner brush and show you guys. It's going to be pretty cool. But right now, let's go ahead and just do some of the wispy hairs, okay? And I have the medium mixture in this brush. And you notice that hair is very, very rarely is it just perfect. Never perfect. There's always little errant hairs. I don't care if you just came from the hairstylist, your hair is not going to be perfect. And with this, extreme arrow, we can get some really, really wispy hairs here. But just the wispy hairs alone won't work. We have to come in and soften some of these edges and harden some of these edges with that liner brush. And try and pay attention to the hairs. It doesn't have to be exact, but try and pay attention to them as much as possible. Ice cream is, yes. Depends on what flavor ice cream, right? So many different flavors. So, have you guys actually went ahead and read an article or seen an article of Airbrush Step by Step? It's been around a while. I'm going to lower that air pressure a little bit. Got a little bit of spidering, but that's okay. It's hair. Now, see, the thing is, we have these wispy hairs, but they don't look right because the edge of her hair is very hard edge from when we did the frisket. So we're going to go about fixing it, and I'm going to show you. Because when you do frisket, I mean, there's a price you pay for everything. And painting in frisket, you're going to have to deal with things like this. But no worries, it's easily fixed. And before we do that, I'm going to empty out the medium mixture, and we're going to put some dark mixture in here. And what that's going to do is going to add some volume, some variation to her hair, and that will make it a little more realistic. Always do a test first. Make sure your airbrush is working correctly. Okay, happy with it. So now we did those really light wispy hairs. Now we're going to do a little darker hairs coming in and out. And just give some variation here, a little more realism. As you can see, it's doing what I want it to do, which is that variation, which is going to be very important. And I'm not a photorealist. I'm not looking to do every hair. I'm not even looking to make it look like I'm doing every hair. It's very important to just go ahead and you know, concentrate and get the effect. My guess says, Tim, I love how her top has turned out so far. It looks like you spent hours on it. I actually did last week. We almost did the whole live stream, guys, on that because you guys wanted to see it. And so, yes, so we're not done with that, but we're going to go ahead and actually work on that some more. It might be off camera just to finish it off because we just have one more session after this week, and we're going to call Chenoa finished. So complete. I like that word better. That's interesting. For some reason there's like a little dot there. So rather than me try and erase it and ruin the paper, I'm going to show you how I will deal with that. So this is a good lesson. So I'm using the dark mixture here. And the thing is, in hair, especially here, just one area might show up dark and the rest will be very wispy. And that will really give the feeling of the way hair is on the edges there. I don't want to go too crazy. I'm going to make like she just woke up. We don't want to do that either. So I'm going to work on the edge here. I'm going to try and soften this edge a little bit. Especially over here, that edge is very soft. So, even with the dark mixture, you can control how much ink comes out, and then you can actually change the value. So you can make the value more intense or less intense. With the wind chill, it's -15 here right now. Now, -15? Oh my God, that is crazy. I thought it was 15. So -15. Wow, that's crazy. And that's, now -15, that's Fahrenheit. Holy cow, that's really cold. Oh, Mike says he's soaking that in cleaner. Yeah, oof. Wendy has her air conditioning on. And let's see. Let's continue softening up these edges here. Now if I went full force with the trigger, then that dark mixture will really show up too much on the edge. I just wanted to soften things up. The edge of her hair there. All of this is super soft. But remember, we have this beautiful sort of virgin background here. There's no ink on it, and how we did that was using the Frisket film. But with the Frisket film, you're going to pay by dealing with this hard edge. And while I'm here with the dark mixture, let's go ahead and just start little by little shaping the hair here. And I have, low air pressure. I want to make sure I'm keeping my overspray. I work so hard with the Frisket. Having overspray now would be really ridiculous. Yes, the word arrow, it definitely is. The larger cup is definitely just the 105. Which is a great brush too, if you're working larger but I don't need it. I can always just refill. But the 105 is a good airbrush. I mean, it's beautiful. The same guts, so that's what's important, right? So right now, guys, what we're doing is we're working on her hair. Since I was doing some of the soft areas, I like to move around. I don't like to stick doing one thing. Oh, well, I like having a larger cup at times, Wendy, when I'm doing backgrounds. It really makes a big difference. Even if I'm doing an A4 piece like this, which is 8.5 by 11, when I paint in the background, I have to refill like maybe 4 times. So that would come in handy. You'd be surprised. A lot of guys and girls who paint, you know, swear by the larger cup size. I'm going to continue worrying about softening this edge here on her hair. See that? So important to soften that up. Cup's the only difference, no other difference, Wendy. So I'm treating the hair like a three-dimensional object, guys. Like if it was, you know, any other object, like a hand or a foot or something like that. So I'm looking at the larger shapes and also seeing how the hair as a whole is being affected by the light source that is affecting her nose, her lips, her eyes, her fingernails. That same light source is doing its thing with her hair. So, and the hair has a mass, and then it has individual hairs. So we're working at it as a mass first, you know. So as you see, we're just moving around. Oh, the double D cup. That's pretty funny there, Brad. So I just want you to see, you know, the distance that I am. And it's nice to get to this stage because then I could really teach you guys, you know, how I handle details, stuff like that. So remember, if you want a free year subscription to Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine, make sure you put a comment after the video's over in the comment section of the video. And you want to say, I would like a subscription, free subscription to Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine, and that's only good if you're subscribed. So make sure you're subscribed, and then next week they'll be the same, and then that's when we'll announce the winner. So you have to do it this week and next week to be in it, but don't worry. So if you miss this video, you can always do it after it's done. Last time Gloria won the painting and she had a 20% chance of winning. So your chance of winning something in the giveaways in this channel are really great. So it's almost like, you know, those be the ninth caller, you know, if they're only, you know, 20 people you are going against, your chance of being the ninth caller are greater. So that's why I think these giveaways that I have with my sponsors are really fantastic because they really give you guys a chance to win. And that's great, you know, try out different products, win paintings, that sort of thing. I try to make it good stuff that you guys would love, you know. And we have a lot of friends, different companies, Canson, Speedball, Badger is a great friend of the channel, and of course Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine for wanting to give a free subscription to one of you guys out there, guys and girls. So that's pretty cool. And now point 3, is that the needle? Is that what you guys are mentioning? So as you see, we started working on her hair there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little more of the dark mixture in here, in this cup. And we're going to get our liner brush, which is also the rigger brush. It's by Cotman. All the supplies that I use are in the description field of my videos. And ooh, look at that! It looks like it started to dry, or there was something in there. So that's weird. So let's dilute that a little bit. That was weird. I think it was I think the plumber's tape got in there, and that's why it looked all weird like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we could do some wispy hairs here. It's a little too. Remember, you can dry brush it, and you'll get a lot of the excess ink off of there, and you can have a lot more control. So just like that. You don't want to go too crazy, but it's a good way to go ahead and shape her hair. Give some volume to it. And let's see on this side. There we go. Like I said, you don't want to do it too much, because what could happen is you can make it look like she has messy hair. We don't want to do that. So yes, the 2124 is definitely a needle to get. That's a variation than the needle that comes with it. And so we're just going to, so if you guys don't know, I'm actually selling my custom micron, my CMSB. The smallest is the 0.21, and that's the, so if you were going to get that airbrush, you would get the 41-044, the super detailed conversion kit. You would get that for that airbrush, and that comes with the regulator, the nozzle, and the needle, and that's a 0.21. It's really very high detail, so definitely that's something that you would want. Yes, you did order those. Yes, you did order, if I'm not mistaken, the 2124. We did that together that one day. So definitely, if you haven't, and I'm pretty sure we did, so I want you to double check. So that's something I would definitely have told you about. Yes, it's called the 20-124. It's the needle for the Sotar. So as you can see, we're really softening up her hair there. And you're not gonna see and the trigger, definitely. Well, you also had to get the 41044 for an extra regulator and nozzle. So that was important as well. And also you have the other needle as a backup. So, you know, we always hit our needle and bend it. You always want a backup. So definitely save the needle that comes with it. The great thing about Badger is that the parts are so inexpensive in comparison to other brands. The 41044 does come standard with the Extreme Patriot arrow that you purchase, or the Extreme Patriot 105, either or. So yeah, that does come standard, but you know, the other one actually I like better with the airbrush. I'm quirky, you know. I definitely like to you know, hack my equipment to do exactly what I wanted to do. I have very very particular needs from an airbrush. So what I'm doing is that hard edge, because I want those fingers to come forward, right? That's what I want. I want her hands to come out at us, and you know, her beautiful eye to go back. See that? And we're really getting that feeling. No, it's good that you purchased it, no problem. So as we are continuing here, we're just going to not go crazy. I don't care about every little hair whatsoever. I'm just worrying about large shapes. Go. As you can see, we are really getting some real good hair action here. Now, since we have the liner brush, but I want to continue this hair a little bit because I'm having fun. So you have some hard edge hair here and there, but I want to soften that up too. And I'll show you how we do that. But let's do some dark hairs there on just to show as her hair grows from her scalp. Right over here we have just a little bit of a... So you want to have pressure sensitivity, meaning that you want to make sure that, you know, the lighter that you press down, whether with anything, a pencil or a brush, the lighter you press down, the less of the pigment or whatever you're painting or drawing with is going to be. Over here it's a little hard edged for my taste, so let's go ahead and fix that. There we go. So now I have this dark mixture in here. So let's see, where can I use this dark mixture to my advantage? So we really want the sequence of her blouse to come out, right? That's one of the things that would be really cool. So I just want to show you a trick. So if you want the sequence to come out, then what you need to do is what's around those sequins needs to be super dark. So I'm going to use a dark mixture just to pull that out there, as you see. I'm just going to do a couple of examples of some dark mixtures around the lightest lights. That's really going to pop this out. There we go. And so we're going to do this. I'm going to do this around elsewhere. But as you can see, that's really giving some clarity to what's happening there. Come back over here. There we go. So that's sort of the thinking, you know, of adding some dark accents here and there within this blouse to really, you know, make everything sort of stand out, especially those really bright lights that we have from her sequins. We can do that. Now on the other side, there are some intense darks over here. But I'm going to hold off on that. I don't think that's so important. And I think the risk factor is a little high by putting a super dark on this side, number one, with the overspray and everything. Sometimes you got to say to yourself, the risk is not worth, you know, it's not worth the risk of getting a certain look. So you want to keep that in mind always. Okay, so we are pretty much done with that part of the hair. Make sure that this is well cleaned out. Okay, now we still have the dark mixture in our airbrush, so let's see where else can we go ahead and create some nice dark accents here and there. Whoop, you got a little bit of a spider in there. Always got to be a little bit careful. No, definitely you needed the 41044 for that extra, the extra nozzle and air regulator. So you have to replace them. So still, that's good that you purchased it, definitely. You have that on hand, something happens, the air regulator is not working correctly, gets clogged, you only spent $9. You just go ahead and, not the air regulator, but the cone, and the nozzle is easy, 1, 2, 3, and you're back in business as if you had it the very first day you purchased it, which is great. That's a great thing about, you know, purchasing Badger, is that everything is so affordable. It's like buying a printer, right? Some printers are amazing, but if you can't afford the ink, then it's a problem, right? And I think that's what's happening with other airbrushes. It's great people have those airbrushes, but if something goes wrong and they can't afford to fix it, then it's out of commission for sometimes a month or months. Can't tell you how many times people have said, yeah, I can't afford to fix my micron, so I'm working with the clips. But every airbrush is affordable with parts, you know. So with Badger, I mean, extremely affordable. Wendy says she has 5 printers like that. Yes, exactly. So that's the great thing about Badger, is that, you know, you can afford to fix them. And a lot of times, you know, Ken will say, send it to us and they'll fix it for you, and they'll just charge you for the parts, which are very inexpensive. So that's pretty cool. Yes, it's so true. And exactly, Brad. That's why you have 2. Very true. But, you know, it's good to have 2. You can have 2 of them going at the same time. One with a medium mixture and one with a light mixture. You know, so that's great. So, as you see, we are developing her hair, and that's coming out nicely but slowly. Wow, we're at 10:55 already. This live stream has been going fast. Is it just me, or is this live stream been going quick? I'm going to darken this part of her hair over here. Bring that down, darken over here. Going speedy. Thanks, Wendy. Going with this dark mixture, darken up different parts of these hairs here. Just to make it feel like hair, right? You notice hair has the same hair, a group of hairs, will have an area of dark, and then it will just sort of disappear like that. And that's pretty cool. You get pretty cool and easy to get those effects. So next week will definitely be the completion of Chenoa, which is very exciting. I'm not sure, and you know, if we do finish it before the end of the 2 hours, we finish her, then we can go ahead and just start the next one, which will be pretty cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Actually, while that's happening, let me see if I can get this live stream on my big TV over here. I just want to see how it's looking while we're going. We actually did an hour and a half without a break, so that's pretty cool. So let me see here. I'm going to go to YouTube and pull that up. So once again, Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine is really fantastic. Great articles. It's just let me see if I have one here to show you. Okay, here's a sample. This is Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine. It's a sample copy. And let's go to, let's see, which, is it this one, that one, this one? There we go. So it's really good. It has step-by-steps all the way from the beginning with the artist talking about what they're doing, the tools that they're using. And really what's really cool, it actually has like 21, this particular painting of the goldfish has like 33 steps, which is really, really exciting. Let me see even more. Nope, 36 steps. And they have, you know, something for everybody. So if we go like right here, you'll see that, you know, it's in English, of course. It's a European publication. They have it in different languages and definitely in English, and that's the one you would get. So this is someone who actually did a painting of Jack Daniels, so that's pretty cool. And he actually goes step by step with that. So as you can see, you know, this is someone who does masking. So this would be a you know, a lot of good techniques that I think would. Here's one where the editor goes ahead and does a review on a plotter, which is pretty exciting. So this is pretty good. So definitely go ahead in the description field, in the comments field, say I want a free subscription to Airbrush Step-by-Step magazine. Do that this week and next week, and you'll be in the drawing for a 1-year subscription to that. So I think that's something to look forward to, definitely. Let me go ahead and, yep, how great is that? There it is. Let me see. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so it looks pretty cool to me. I like the way that, I mean, the picture on the big screen there. Let me see if I can show you. See, that's it right there on the big screen. So we do have a question from Tone. What makes you say that it's finished? I think it's really funny. It's just you just have this feeling, you know, that you can improve it with the decisions that you made in the painting. So, you know, you might see a change in the drawing, but you are committed to that now. So, meaning that you can improve it with decisions that you made. So you did everything you can to make it the best painting possible, and then that's it. There's nothing more you can do. And when you get to that point where there's nothing more you can do to make it better, then I think that's when you know you're done, right? So just continue until you get that feeling where you're like, I'm done. I can move on. Now, done is better than perfect. So remember, don't ever try and make your art perfect. That is the worst thing that an artist can do. Done is always better than perfect. Never try and make it perfect. Just try and do the best job that you can at this time in your career. And continue working on whatever you fell short with the painting before. That should be your focus. So always keep that focus. You know, that's going to be what you need to concentrate on. So let me go ahead and move this dark over towards her arm here. Perpendicular, not parallel. Make sure we clean up this. It's interesting. There's like maybe, I would say like a 8-second delay from what you guys see and me actually painting. So there's like that 8-second delay, which is so interesting. Oh, so Tone says that sometimes when he's worn out, he starts making mistakes and then stop. Yeah, definitely. You'll know when it's time, you know, to just sign her and then move on, you know. It's a good feeling. It's a bittersweet feeling too, because you know, been spending so much time with this painting, you know, sort of starting it off from scratch, you know, and then, you know, having the tough times with the painting, working out some issues, and then when it's over, it's exciting and sad at the same time. So I'm still with the dark mixture, and I'm kind of looking for dark accents here and there. I'm going to put some dark accents over here. Just going to move around. Now sometimes when you put the dark accents, I'm going to just put some air on there. Just dry that off before I make any kind of erasing decisions here. Definitely don't want to erase something that's wet, right? That's a taboo. We don't want to do that. So let's lighten this area up. For some reason I feel that when I darken this area a little too much, I kind of lost some of the sensitivity of her. So I definitely didn't want to lose that. So I'm just going to go ahead and soften up. It made her look a little harsh. Hey David, how's it going? Good to see you, my friend. So cool you can make it. And Tone says some of the keys on his laptop are stuck with paint, so I occasionally makes. Oh, that's funny. I tell you, I go through keyboards a lot. This is like I bought this computer last year, this time, and I already have 3 keyboards that went already. So good to see you, my friend. So let's soften this up here. There we go. And I don't want to lose the sensitivity. There we go. Let's hit this dark here. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay, so right here, this is risky, but with the dark mixture, I'm going to do the crease between the 2 lips here. But that's the control that you get with this airbrush. And I would do this with just a micron and this one. That's the only time I would do. There's only 2 airbrushes that I would do something like that. Because if you go wrong, there goes the painting. Oh yeah, Christmas was great, Dave. I wouldn't say great, but it was nice. It was a nice Christmas. It was actually a lot of fun, though. I had a lot of fun in my Christmas, so I have to say. I got a new compressor. That was pretty exciting for Christmas, so that was really fantastic. Okay, so as you see, just moving along. Let me get some water here. Now we have some wispy hairs like in between her 2 arms, hairs from her head, of course. And let's go ahead and start working on those hairs of her arm, hairs between her arms, not on her arms. She doesn't have hairy arms, thank goodness. Let's go ahead and find a larger aggressive eraser. Here we go. Now, whenever you get any kind of pencil sharpener that you use, make sure it has a metal blade and it's a metal pencil sharpener in there. That's so important. It's going to make a big, huge difference with the point that you're able to achieve. See that? Case in point. So, no pun intended. So let's go ahead and, oh, look at that. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull out the shapes of some of those hairs here. So has anyone made any New Year's resolutions? And if they are, what are they? I would love to hear. Just really paying attention, to 1 second rule. Pay attention to where I'm painting these little wispy hairs here and there. Let's see with the mono if I can get a little more succinct. Here's a trick. Okay, so you take this airbrush, this eraser. I know I showed you before. I'm going to show you again. Is you just put this on its side like that. Let me move this over. On its side like that. You take a blade. And you make a chiseled point. Just like that. And we're going to do it on the other side too. Let me just see if I can get it a little more, almost like at a 45-degree angle. And what we'll have when we do that is this like real sharp 45-degree angle, and then there's this like little ledge there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that to really get some hairs. Oh, to paint more and to go to church more, but most importantly to thank God. Yes, those are incredible resolutions. Definitely, David. I agree. And so you see we're just getting a little more of those sharp lines. But we don't need sharp lines when we want to get a swath of lighter hairs here. Same thing here. We have some lighter hairs here. Now we have the dark mixture in there already, so let's go ahead and see if we can just start darkening down some of these values. There we go, just intensifying that dark. Remember, light mixture, you have far more control than you do with the dark mixture. So if you are painting and then you're with the dark mixture and it's just a little harder time, it's not you. The dark mixture is, anything that is darker is going to play more for keeps when it comes to painting. So, darker markers, darker pencil, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. So that's why it's important to give yourself a break when you're working with the darker mixture, but also be a lot more careful because you do have a smaller window for error. So, but it's good that we're darkening down the middle there because that's going to help us to create more volume as well. But we want to leave room for this hair mass over here, and then we can darken around that. There we go. And so I don't want to kill my table, so I'm going to look for a spare piece of paper. And what you do is you just put it underneath, like so. And then I can spray down, right guys? So let's do that. Wow, this live stream went really fast for some reason. I don't know why. I guess it just went really, really fast. We're already at 11:14. So very interesting. So I like it when I went ahead and darkened that. I'm going to go ahead and darken this area as well. It just gives it a little more of a punch. I like that. Little more strength by deepening these darks over here. And that's where so what we're going to do next week is we're going to come in with the medium mixture, do some more mid-tones that we darkened everything with the dark accents. Then a little bit more with the white pastel. And then we're going to call her complete, and then we'll move on to the next one. So there's going to be a part 7, so that's cool. Like I said, if there's a part, it used to be like maybe a part 5, no more than that. Sometimes a part 6. But lately we've been doing a little bit more, but that's okay. If you guys learn more, that's what's important, right? So not, how soon you're done. So that's really cool that Airbrush Step by Step magazine went ahead and decided to give away a free subscription to you guys. You guys just have to enter, you have to be subscribed, and you have to comment that you want a free subscription to Airbrush Step by Step magazine. So that's pretty exciting. So we want to bring this dark down, but we still don't want to overspray. We want to create some really nice hard edges. So let's do that here. So how many of you guys out there, guys and girls, have active library cards? Just as a, you don't have to answer that question, you don't want to, but I'm just curious as to, how many of you guys and girls have active library cards? If I'm overdue with library books, I get really nervous because it would really be horrible if I lost my borrowing privileges. I borrow books at least once a week. Oh, in Brooklyn, that's great, Tone. Yeah, I borrow books at least once a week, and no matter what subject I want to learn about, I go ahead and I have everything at my fingertips. My library has online resources that you can log into with your library card, and I get Rosetta Stone for every language for free. And if I want to learn about Aristotle, if I want to learn about digital painting, I can go ahead and find a book in the system of the county here, which is like 30 libraries, and if I find it, they go ahead and send it to my local library, and I just pick it up in my library. It's called Open Borrowing, and I can also peruse the catalogs online, which are great. A lot of times what I like doing is going to a Barnes & Noble and looking for a book on a subject, and when I find it, I'll just go ahead, I won't buy it, I'll just put it back on the shelf, go home and find it on the library system and borrow it that way. Yes, and wow, so Mike hasn't been one, and that happens, a lot of people, we sort of lose touch of the libraries, but such a great resource, and that's one of the gifts of our society, is that if you want to learn something, it's right there at our fingertips, it's just so amazing. So no matter how rich or poor we are, we have the same ability to get knowledge, and and I think even better than a college. So what I'm doing is I'm using my freehand shield perpendicular. So I want to pull that dark out from there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side of her. So as you can see, that's how she's looking, and so we're getting pretty close to finishing up Shanoa, which is exciting. Now I think last week I said that she was Mexican, but she's not. I believe she is Chilean. She's from Chile. I know she's popular in Mexico, but she's Chilean. I love my Mexican singers, believe me. Some Ana Gabriel, she's fantastic. And Alejandro Fernandez, my favorites, I love Mexico. But this young lady is from Chile. Everything online now, so I haven't been since summer. Yes, you can definitely order online, borrow online, which is fantastic, right? So let me go ahead and work on it down here. There we go. So we got to make sure, it's crucial that we make sure the freehand shield doesn't have any ink on it. Whoa. Okay. Shot out of my hands. There we go. And then over here, let's work on this edge right there. Over there. There. And let's pull this edge out here. Try and bring her hair in front there. See that? So try and show that that hair is sort of coming forward from where her blouse is. So that's pretty important. That's funny. There we go. And so just trying to pull her hair forward over there, not forward in front of the hand, but the hair in front of her blouse there, just to show, you know, depth perception the best we can. We are limited, but we'll do the best we can. So as you can see, let's say, take care, David. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, so now we have a darker base here, and so if I'm even looking at my painting on the bigger picture, I'm really getting happy with how everything is. You know, it has a nice feeling of lights and darks. So let's go ahead and see if we can, first with the mono eraser, let's see if we could start to, if we have a little more wiggle room as far as pulling some of these hairs. Hair shapes here. Now remember, we did that really good technique with that other mono, here, which is sort of the square one, and I made like a chisel. And let's see how that will work as far as getting thin hairs. Not bad, you know. Go, and let's just continue pulling that down. So we just want to give an indication of hairs here and there. We don't want to just be this abyss, you know what I mean? So we definitely want to have some variation. Pull that right into the arm, right up against that arm, so it doesn't look artificial. And let's see, so Wendy says, I just don't see how you can erase those so easily. I can't erase mine much at all. Well, it's that whole thing of economy of surface, right, Wendy, is that I'm so careful not to overdo it with the eraser, not to, you know, like, not to oversaturate, right? Continue going darker and darker. Yes, it's one of the reasons why you can go darker and do the whole painting in the light mixture, just go darker and darker, but you're going to kill the surface. And that's the beauty, one of the beautiful things about the light, medium, and dark mixtures is that you go ahead and build up your values without killing the surface. So when you do that, when you get to this point, you have so much surface still to work with, which is great. So all the links are in the description field for the airbrush Uh, that is 10% off using Timothy PSA, and that's for any products on usaairbrush.com. So that's good to know. And then there's an Amazon store, my Amazon store, and they have these erasers, the Speedball India ink that I use to make my airbrush inks, that sort of stuff. So a lot of great links, and if you go ahead and use them, they're affiliate links. I get a little teeny tiny commission, but they're the same price for you. You just help out the channel if you're going to purchase something anyway. So that's cool. And so, Wendy, you are not a surface killer. You just gotta, there's always a learning curve. You do great. So you're an amazing painter. I can't believe how good that dog came out. Wow, that was something. Wendy did a portrait of a dog that was out of this world. Just really fantastic. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of our scrap paper. We don't need the scrap paper anymore. Let's get out of there and move that away. So let's see what we have here. That's too dark. Okay, and so let's go ahead and quickly use some of our white pastel. Now what we're going to do now is start to do some of the values within the values, and this is going to be continued because we're almost done. But oh, Brad says thank you for the live feed. You're very welcome. Thank you. It's so cool. No nightmares, Wendy. You are a very good artist, so love that doggy that you did. So this is what we're going to do with this the little bit of pastel on here. We're going to start looking for the shapes within the shapes. We have value shapes, but they're not just value shapes on their own. They also have little variations of tone in those shapes, and that is where the realism really lies. And so right here, there's very soft little lighter shapes within those values, and we see them all over. And you want to scumble them in, the scumbling technique. And if it gets too intense, you just take a clean kneaded eraser and you can just tap that and have complete control over the value that you put in, which is really fantastic. So I promise you 2 hours. I will work right up until the 2 hours. Oh, Mike S. says she's looking perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I like painting people much better too, Wendy. That's for sure. And thank you, Mike. I appreciate that wonderful comment on Shanoa. I hope she gets to see this one day. Let me give a little more volume to her lip there. I think it's a little bigger. So with the white pastel, I just made her lip bigger, just a few millimeters. There we go. And so you see we can just sort of shape and do some of the, with the lights within the light, so to speak, go back in there, change things around. So I'm just going to shape her cheek there. There we go. And Brad, have a great night. And oh, so okay, so it's 11:30, guys. Yeah, fur is rough, Wendy. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Willie and Brad and Mike S. and Wendy and who else? David and anyone else I missed. Ron was here. and those who were here and didn't comment. But go ahead and get in for that free subscription. It's really going to be great. It's a wonderful magazine. Ronald Hassler, he is the editor, and he is very kind to go ahead and give a 1-year subscription to one of you guys. But you got to be in it to win it, so make sure at the end of this video you comment that you want a 1-year subscription, and make sure you're subscribed. Those two things, you'll be in it. Last week, Gloria won the painting, one of the paintings that I did, and she had a 20% chance of winning. So it's great to do these contests on a small channel here, because your chance of winning is very good. So I hope you have a great week. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this Wednesday, and God willing, I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.